Welcome to Barnstable Today. I'm Nick Cortez. Just a reminder that full-length meetings, special events, and every program we air here on Channel 18 can be viewed online. You can find it all in the town's video archives at town.barnstable.ma.us. Town Manager John Klim this past Friday signed a letter of intent with the Cape and Vineyard Electric Cooperative, or CVEC, which amounts to an official declaration of interest in partnering with the co-op in a request for proposals that may lead to the construction of one of the largest solar energy generation systems in Massachusetts, right here in Barnstable. Earlier today on Barnstable This Morning, we spent some time discussing this opportunity with our guests. Here's some of what Manager Klim had to say on how the opportunity came about, where it stands, and what it might mean for the town if it comes to fruition.
Well, as you know, Nick, for the last several years we have begun to much more aggressively look at the possibility of municipal projects, whether they be wind or photovoltaic, as options to reduce our energy costs, which are very significant in our community's budget, and also to reduce our carbon footprint. So we have for some time identified our landfill, our solid waste facility in Marston's Mills, as a possibility. You have a lot of open space there that is unused, that really didn't have any plans for the foreseeable future. So we began to look at that as a possible wind or solar site, and we've decided that it makes more sense from a solar perspective. And so joining hands with the Cape and Vineyard Electric Co-op makes a lot of sense. They have more expertise than the town. They were created to provide communities like Barnstable, and also I think on the Vineyard as well, as a way to work together to kind of combine our resources so that we're not getting a situation where 15 towns have to get a high level of expertise, which is very costly on their own. And so the signing of the letter of intent simply forms a partnership with the Cape and Vineyard Electric Co-op and allows them, on behalf of the town, to put this project out to bid. And so this is really exciting because we're talking about a very large project. I think it's 1.5 or 2 megawatts. It probably, as I understand it, would be the largest solar project in southeastern Massachusetts.
I echo the sentiments that it's a really exciting prospect to get really a seriously substantial alternative energy project here in the town of Barnstable. Of course, the one happening at our water pollution control facility, I believe, will produce somewhere on the order of 1 megawatt of renewable energy, which is certainly not insubstantial, but adding to the energy portfolio by essentially doubling it or maybe even tripling it, that's got to be a pretty good prospect here at the outset, at the very least.
It really is, and we won't stop here as well. We are looking at other sites. But this is particularly interesting because, as you know, this land has been just sitting there for many years and without any real plans to utilize the land. So we're taking a piece of land and making it much more productive, and also doing it in a way that is green, and that will save money for the community. I mean, at the end of the day, this might be a few teachers not having to be laid off, or a police officer or two, or other town employee, and so this is really exciting.
Later in the program, Town Energy Coordinator Richard Elrick joined us to provide more detail on just how big this project could be. If this project were to make it through all the steps with CVEC, it would be built on our capped landfill, as I've been mentioning. I know you've had developers down there to assess what the property can handle in terms of a solar project. So what can you tell us about that to begin with?
Well, as you point out, we have had a number of developers look at the land and give their best guess about how many megawatts of electricity could produce up there, and we've heard estimates of anywhere from 1 to 2.5 megawatts. While there's a lot of available land, capped landfill land, not all of it is directed at that southern horizon where all of the sun, of course, is coming from. So we would anticipate probably somewhere between 1.5 and 2 megawatts, and that would produce approximately 2.5 million kilowatt hours annually. So it's a pretty good amount of electricity.
Can you put that into perspective for us in terms of what we see around Massachusetts right now?
Certainly. At the moment, we are moving forward at our own water pollution control facility with a solar project that will have approximately almost 800 kilowatts of solar PV. There's at Cape Air on their rooftop-mounted system. They have a system of about 280 kilowatts. Mm-hmm. The town of Situate is proposing a project for their capped landfill of about 1.5 megawatts. And one of the larger projects is out in Pittsfield, and that's somewhat over 2 megawatts. So actually, in terms of where other communities are and where other projects are, these ones that are being proposed here on our capped landfills are rather large.
Elric went on to explain that a partnership between the town, CVEC, and a private developer would be formed if everything moves forward. He says that the town would lease the land to CVEC, which would manage the project after the developer completes construction. CVEC would then sell the bulk of the energy back to the town. So what kind of financial and environmental advantages does this partnership provide to the town? Here's what Elric had to say.
We get a long-term, locked-in price, reduced electricity price for all of the energy that is produced from this facility. We
substantially
would get 90%
lower than what
of the
we're paying
value.
now. Substantially lower than what we would pay for conventional electricity, I would imagine, yes?
That's correct. Yeah, we're for electricity now. We're paying a little under 12 cents for our electricity at that location for just the generation portion of that electricity. Uh-huh. And while certainly no specific price has been quoted yet, we really need to wait for the process to play out. We would anticipate it being several or more cents lower than that for a potential cost savings of up to a couple of $100,000 a year. But again, I want to be cautious about talking too much about the numbers because we really are at the beginning of the process.
Right, yeah, of course, I understand that. But the ratio of electricity that the town of Barnstable essentially gets to keep from this project, I kind of cut you off as you were saying 90% there. Where does the other 10% go?
Well, the other 10% of the electricity goes to the other member communities of the Cape and Vineyard Electric Co-op. The environmental benefits to this are pretty substantial. If you just very quickly consider those over the life of the potential 20-year contract, you're talking at least an annual carbon dioxide offset benefits, about 1,500 tons of CO2 emissions that would be avoided.
Wow.
That's equivalent to approximately a couple of 100,000 gallons of gasoline.
Wow.
47,000 trees planted. I mean, so these are pretty substantial benefits, and if you multiply that over the life of the contract, it's a pretty substantial and important environmental benefit.
Elric says that he hopes the town will pursue the solar project on our landfill, whether or not the partnership with CVEC works out. We're likely to know that by the end of this year. Now let's take a look at this week's meetings. On Tuesday, October 5th, the press conference in front of Thursday's Town Council meeting takes place at 3:30 in the Town Hall hearing room. At 6:30 p.m., the Conservation Commission meets in the Town Hall hearing room. Wednesday, October 6th, the Hyannis Main Street Waterfront Historic District Commission meets in the Selectmen's Conference Room at 7 p.m. And on Thursday, October 7th, the Town Council meets at 7 o'clock in the Town Hall hearing room. Well, that's all for now. I'm Nick Cortez, and we'll see you next time on Barnstable Today.